Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know how we do. So let's just get into it today. Today's video is going to be titled At What Cost? So let's just get into it. Um, I'm just going to start off and say that I feel like the way that MAGA and Republicans have indoctrinated their people is brilliant. Um, to make them vote against their interest, to have them kind of just be on one team in that aspect, it's unbelievably manipulative, but it's working. And I just want to unpack how I think it's working and how we can kind of get out of that. And if you're having a conversation with one of them, maybe you can, use some of these techniques. But what I feel like it does essentially is it breaks down very, very complex issues into well oversimplified issues, right? So if you're dealing with something like immigration, voting, even environment, everything, like these are all trade, these are very complex issues that people have multiple PhDs and doctorates studying, and the global complexities of all these things. But what MAGA has done, with the aid of conspiracy theories as well, because we all know conspiracy theories are like kind of simple ways to explain complex issues for a very complex world, is that they've really utilized conspiracy theories along with this oversimplification to get people to think a right versus wrong, us versus them team mentality, to the point where they're fully on the team. And even if their team does something that they don't agree with, they would much rather still support their team. Um, so let's just get into some specific examples. I think one of them, easiest right now, that is like on the hotbed issue is immigration, right? Um, and they've oversimplified it as like, is immigration good or bad? Um, and I would say certain kind of immigration is good and certain kind of immigration isn't, right? But like, that's not what they're talking about. They're making it an overall issue. Like they want to cut immigration, period. Despite the fact that like this nation literally was built on immigrants, this nation needs immigrants to sustain our GDP and our economic growth and for the jobs. Like companies are literally importing people because we don't have enough skilled labor to do the job. So like immigration is actually essential to this country's growth. But you wouldn't hear that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like from the other side, right? You would not hear that from MAGA because they want you to think immigration is bad. They want you to think all immigrants are stealing things and resources and jobs, when statistics show you that like they're actually not, and they're actually like a net positive to the economy for how much they're exploited by companies and how much taxes they pay, right? But they would have you believe that like if you don't believe exactly what they believe and enforce the policies that they want you to enforce, then you are pro illegal immigrant. You're pro stealing jobs for America. You're just everything mud if you don't do everything they say. And it's not allowing for the nuance of saying like, yes, we both want safe borders, right? We both want higher wages, right? We don't want illegal migrants committing crimes. Nobody wants that, but we just believe in different ways to accomplish it. And they have really just been really brilliant into like saying, okay, hey, if you don't support ICE, then you just are for open borders. And that's literally what they say about Democrats, right? Like every time you hear the Democrats want open borders, open borders, open borders, even though Barack Obama deported more immigrants than Trump. Imagine that, without doing all this cruelty, without ICE, without spending all this money, without these alligator Alcatrazes and everything, Barack Obama still managed to deport more than Trump. So the cruelty is the point, right? So that I say that to say that it doesn't take following exactly what they're saying to accomplish that goal. In fact, evidence shows that you can be more successful by going through means that are a little bit more human. Right? I mean, isn't that what it shows? And it's just like the brilliance of how they can sit there and separate it and make you think that you need the Gestapo if you are for protecting borders. And it's at what cost as well? Like, so the cost right now that we're seeing is like you're separating families, people that have been here for dozens of years. Like there are countless stories of, them actually scooping up the wrong people, scooping up citizens and veterans and detaining people, breaking property. People are gone for days, deporting people to third world countries and mysterious places. Like, is that the cost? That's like the human cost, but also we're going to lose a lot of money because businesses are going to go out of business because they can't find workers. Farmers are going to lose money and lose crops. And then the government's going to have to subsidize them with more of our tax dollars, right? And we're going to lose the taxes that they pay. Like, and let's talk about tourism, right? If you are an immigrant coming here or a person, a foreigner, why would you ever want to come to the United States? There are places where tourists are getting wrapped up. Tourists. So if I were a tourist from any country that has brown skin, I would never fucking come to America. So I could get wrapped up in some immigration shit, and they're not even going to like allow you to identify yourself. Like you're the danger of being profiled in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? So I feel like that is ridiculous. And is that the cost? Like we're going to lose out on tourism, we're going to lose out on business, we're going to lose out on immigrant tax dollars. On top of the fact that it's like inhumane and cruel, and it's proven to not be the most efficient way to do it. So, but are we still into that mentality? We're still working with it. Another clear example, I believe, is voting rights. And we can even tie gerrymandering into it, which is like literally trying to steal votes and steal representation. But all statistics, even drawn from like Republicans, are saying that voter fraud is negligible, right? Voter fraud is negligible. Yet it's something that is like on the top of the lips of every Republican at all times. And because it sounds good, right? The integrity of voting. Oh, you got to keep voting together and everything. However, statistically, it barely happens. And if you want to take out who actually does it, Republicans commit voter fraud at a much larger rate than Democrats. So it's like, Republicans, why are you so concentrated on voter fraud when it actually, the people that committing it are basically y'all, and it is null. It has not impacted the results of any election. But it's a good thing to say, like, hey, are you for voter fraud? You know what I'm saying? Or are you against it? You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, and at what expense are we willing to fix it? So, and first of all, let's just set the default that you're never going to fix complete voter fraud. Like that's like saying you can just solve all crime. Like if you just have good enough enforcement that somehow all crime will disappear. Hopefully you're not an idiot to know that. Like, right? You know, it's like, so crime will always happen at some point, but it's not to suggest that you shouldn't do things to deter it, right? And so there's a clear balance between that. So, and at what expense are you willing to stop it? So let's say for voter fraud, let's just use round numbers. Like let's say there's 100 votes, and then out of every 100 votes, there's one fraud, which is actually larger than the actual fraud percentage. The actual fraud percentage is less than 1%. So one out of 100 is 1%. So that's even making it larger, more than triple of what it actually is. But let's say you're really concerned about that one voter fraud. What are you going to do about it? And all the measures that you seem to put up will disenfranchise 20 voters. So because you're trying to stop the voter fraud with the one voter, you are going to prohibit 20 voters from voting. Does that make sense to anyone? Does that make sense to anyone? You're going to purge rolls. People that have been voting for years and law-abiding American citizens, you're going to fuck up their shit because you were concerned about the one. And that's how they do it. And then to say, well, if you're not for this, then you're promoting voter fraud. Well, no, I am all about stopping voter fraud. But what I'm more concerned about is not stopping and disenfranchising legal citizens from voting. That's more important. And especially when it's a far larger incident. And we can take it to healthcare. Like they claim, oh, fraud, we're stopping fraud and abuse in healthcare, which is not a large thing, first of all, again. But what are you going to do to stop fraud? So let's say in the same percentage, like let's even say larger, like let's say 5 out of 100 people are defrauding the government for health insurance. But to do that, you're going to take away the health insurance of 30? Or you're going to make it extremely hard and difficult for 30 people to get health insurance. So you're going to end up maybe having 10 people not get health insurance that are entitled to it. Is that the cost that we're willing to pay? Like that's what we're doing. So we're going to like kick healthy people off for the sake of this, a much smaller, less obstructive burden. And I think we have to ask ourselves that question. We're just not doing it. We're allowing these platitudes to move across the system and allow them to champion these things. But like, what's the affect of that? What is the actual impact of all this fraud and everything like that? Like, to me, the issue has to, it has to justify the actions. And numbers matter. Because let's even go into like genocide, right? You know what I'm saying? And those things, just taking on a slightly different issue. I mean, I've heard that, a lot of the Republican talking points are that, they don't believe that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide because they haven't killed enough people. Ironically enough, now in this issue, right, they want to act like numbers matter. You know what I'm saying? That there has to be enough quantity in order to make it a valid issue, even though in the other issues I just mentioned, right, there's not quantity at all. So that's a floating variable for them, right? So it just really is about whatever they want to accomplish. I think we get at this point, but there's not enough numbers. But yet they're classifying genocide in South Africa for white farmers that's unfounded, and there haven't even been like 100 white farmers killed, and it hasn't even been on some genocide stuff. But yet they are literally willing to call it a genocide and have refugee status for these people and so you see what I'm saying. It is literally not about anything but them trying to make moral false arguments to try and get you on one side or the other just to do exactly what they want. And you could take any issue, like any issue about this, and don't even get me on this like gerrymandering thing going on right now. It's just like that will have to be another video because this is long. But like, take any issue you want and insert this in it and figure out how they're trying to manipulate. Look at police supporting the police. You support the police until they actually January 6th happens, and then oh, it wasn't so bad. You say, oh, the police injuries weren't really there. Oh, they were actually patriots. All like, can't you see that they will change everything? Like the Constitution. We love the Constitution until you read the 14th Amendment. Now they're trying to change the First Amendment. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just like nothing matters. And I just hope that we're able to discern and see what's going on here and not be utilized by our own morality. You know what I'm saying? To not be manipulated by these people who are using our goodness to try and get what they want solely and exclusively. So let's just think a little bit differently. And until next time.